so much of the Western world is trying to figure out, at least those of us who have two brain cells to rub together, what to do about Europe. And for me, the preventative measures are more important than even the adaptive. We've got to stop the influx. Australia had a migrant problem, but it doesn't anymore. What happened?
Well, at the moment, we have a policy called Operation Sovereign Borders. And
I like the sound of it.
Yeah. That came in 2013 when Tony Abbott was elected Prime Minister, and he was elected on a platform of Stop the Boats. And he repeated that slogan over and over and over again. And as soon as he was elected, they brought in legislation which meant that anybody who was trying to get to Australia by boat without a visa would never be granted asylum in Australia. And so currently what our government does is we have a military program where people who are trying to arrive by boat get their boats turned back by the Navy.
So what do you mean by get their boats turned back?
Well, the Navy intercepts the boats and they force them to turn back. And it's done under the cloak of secrecy as well. We're not, the government doesn't release information about it. So it's a military operation. Like, it's very, serious, and, the press aren't allowed to get many details about it, but it's worked. Last time I checked, there had been 1,000 days without a single illegal entry arrival in Australia by boat.
I love it, and this is just a sort of policy that Europe needs. Okay, let's unpack some of that. First of all, Abbott's just selling of this message, stop the boats. We've seen, I think, 2 days in Italy just this past summer, over 2,500 migrants arrived in just over 2 days, right? In Australia, what had to happen, as I understand it, the pictures of dead migrants washing up is what helped evoke some of this popular sentiment. So what's necessary? Popular sentiment, how did he get, bipartisan support?
Well, Australia does have a long tradition of migrant control. So we're quite generous. We do accept refugees, but we've got a tradition of controlling it. We are in charge of our borders, and even though we are symbolically signed on to the Refugee Convention, our governments, particularly under our centre-right Liberal Party, have said, well, our national laws, our national sovereignty is more important than any UN treaty.
Isn't that beautiful? Wouldn't you just love to hear every world leader say
absolutely.
That's what international law should be. It's symbolic. These are the things we should strive towards, but not when the consequences are rising for our own sovereign nation.
But the key turning point for Australia happened in 2001. It was after September 11 happened, and we had a Prime Minister called John Howard, and at the time, a boat sank in somewhere around Indonesia, and a Norwegian ship got all of the refugees or the asylum seekers onto the boat, and the Norwegian ship was trying to bring them to Australia. And our Prime Minister said, no, you cannot bring these refugees to our country. You sort it out he said, Indonesia and Norway can sort it out amongst themselves. And he famously said, we will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come.
Absolutely, I love it.
And he won the election on that, basically because of that.
That's an excerpt from my daily TV show, The Ezra Levant Show. Normally it's behind a paywall, but I thought you'd like this video, so we put it on YouTube. If you want to subscribe to watch the daily show every day, including always 2 interviews a day, and I read my hate mail, just click on this screen and become a premium member.